thank you all for taking the time. We just wanted to go over some of the more common tech and options available to you, both for team collaboration, remote access, and sort of remote tools. Obviously, we're all in a really special circumstance around the world, but we're doing our best, and I know a majority of us are working from home here. Without further ado, let's get into this. So there's a couple things I'm going to talk about this morning. It'll be brief, and if you have any questions, you can obviously follow up directly with us via email or reaching out to Melinda or the office. You can call the office, they forward it all to our phones, that type of thing. So we're going to talk about remote tools. This is how can I get from my home PC to my work PC or vice versa. We're going to talk about screen sharing and collaboration. How do I work with my colleagues? How do I work with customers? What can I do to connect myself and others, and kind of what some popular tools are, what some free tools are. And obviously, no matter what, the right decision is going to come down to you and your IT, because in the end, you'll likely need some assistance with some of these type of things. Okay, so we're going to talk about remote access. So we've got some really popular common ones like TeamViewer, AnyDesk, Splashtop, and of course, Windows Remote Desktop. Now, there are free versions of these. There are paid versions. There are, if you use it for personal use, we trust you type of events here. And we'll leave that up to you to determine which one's best for you. But I just wanted to go through a couple of different options with everyone. So when we talk about remote access, what we're talking about is, again, how can I get from my home PC to my work PC, or from my work PC at home to this particular PC I need on our network, and whether that's your Sage computer, whether that's something else you need access to at the office, or vice versa. Oh, I was working from home yesterday, but luckily, the quarantine's over, and I'm in the office today. I need to get back to that one. So with TeamViewer, you have the ability to connect to different PCs. You can create a TeamViewer account. It's not terribly expensive if you want to sign up for a professional version. And what that really boils down to is if you're accessing multiple PCs and setting a bunch of things up, you'll probably want to go for the monthly pro version. And if you're really just using this one-to-one for personal use, they do let you get away with that for free, so to speak. The next section we'll talk to after we get into some of these will be the screen sharing and collaboration. So there's, I'm sure everybody's heard of Slack by now. I'm sure everyone's got, Zoom is really popular these days for one-on-one meetings and group video meetings. But I also wanted to make sure everyone was aware of Discord, which was traditionally a gaming PC sort of chat section. But it's really come into its own for business, and most important of all, it's completely free. Is you can set up a TeamViewer account yourself. You simply download the software, and then you can keep a record of which PCs you want to connect to. And when you connect to it, you would simply collect your PC, and it would remember the username or password you want to associate to that PC. Now, this is an access tool that, again, I can get from PC 1 to PC 2. And if I don't have it, I can go through some of the standard stuff. And this would be, okay, I need to provide somebody this password and this credential, and they'll allow it to connect to the PC. So again, I have a free version because I use this for personal stuff or some other things. But you can see if I've done sessions from other people, it can also, contacts that also have a TeamViewer. Now, this is freeware. For the most part, again, unless you're going to be really using it for commercial use, they ask that you, do the right thing and buy the license from them. On top of TeamViewer, we do have a couple of other options. Pull that up for you guys. So we've got things like, obviously, TeamViewer. And obviously, they're experiencing a bunch of high call volume right now because everyone wants to get involved in it now, especially because people didn't need it before. So they do have TeamViewer. There's AnyDesk, which is very similar, and there is free for personal use with this as well. And the pricing for these is really not that bad if you look at some of them. Some of them are as low as $10 a month, and that's sort of one-to-one. There is the professional, which is many-to-one, so you might have one person connecting to many places or many connecting to one if you guys want to group share or conference, things like that, but have multiple controls. And then Splashtop, again, is a low-price competitor to both of them. All equally good software. They have a free trial rather than the free version, but it's $5 a month for some of these, or, you know, there's business licensing and things of that nature. So AnyDesk, Splashtop, TeamViewer are the most common ones I'm aware of. Obviously, there's going to be new entrants to the market, and there's going to be sort of many other options you have. You're going to have to find out what works best for you, what's in your budget, and obviously always refer to your IT group or team, just because they're in charge of your network security and access and being able to assist. So they may have some other options already available to you. But if you install TeamViewer on your local PC, install TeamViewer on your work PC, again, same for AnyDesk or Splashtop, you'll be able to simply launch the program, select the PC, and then just move forward and say, yep, I want to connect to that, and it pops up sort of a little mini display window. I don't think mine's running, but let's find out. So I can come to the computers I have, and I can say I want to remote control my work PC, and if it's running, here it is, popped up in a little TeamViewer window, so I could then log in and work from both home and the office, and we'll go from there. So again, I can do things like transfer files between my two PCs. A lot of people always ask, well, yeah, if I'm working there, how do I get this thing over here? I need that PDF or I want that Excel file. You can certainly do that. And then you also have things like, you know, annotation and things. I can draw on the screen if somebody else is already there and looking at it. So the idea is maybe I have TeamViewer to a colleague or to somebody I'm always helping. I can then sort of click over here and drag and drop and things like that. So I'll go ahead and close that guy. All right. So again, with remote access, you're going to want to do what's best for you, and you're going to want to do what works best in your environment. All of these are required on internet, obviously, so you'll need to have internet of a decent connection to pass back and forth and work at the same kind of speeds. If not, you might experience little delays, but that's sort of anything based with the internet. The one thing I will talk about right now is the Windows version of these. So with Windows, there's AnyDesk. And with these type of things, you also have the built-in Windows environment. So with Windows, I'm sure many people have already experienced it within your network. You can use remote desktop to jump over to a different PC, or maybe the terminal server, or for some of you that are more involved in tech, the actual server itself, because you need to get over there and do some work, but you don't want to go, you know, open the closet, figure out where it is, plug in the monitor, that kind of stuff. With certain versions of Windows 10, basically anything that's not the limited home edition, you can set up remote access on your PC itself. So this is me remoted over to my other PC here at my house. And basically what you'd have to do is come to your settings, and then you can even, with Windows 10, I'll make that full screen for you guys, you can set up remote desktop access. So you literally come to settings and you can search for remote desktop, or you can just search in the Windows 10 menu. You can say enable it, and then you can say, does the PC need to be on? Can I wake it up? Can I connect to it without things? And then what name am I looking for? Can I just type a name instead of the IP address? And then which user accounts? And this is very important because when you log in, this is a security. So inherently with anything that you're opening up to the outside world, you are going to want to consider security. So from home, if you were, or vice versa, if you're a small business office or if you've got IT to help, you will actually need to open up a port on your firewall to allow the connection out of the IP. So if you know your IP address, I would go to 123.456.789 and log in as the tower PC and with my user that's listed here, and it would let me through. But without that firewall port open, you're not going to be able to communicate regardless. So again, not the most common layperson way, but very stable, built in, no cost, and just requires a tiny bit of IT knowledge for security's sake. And then it's just like anything else you've seen. I remote to it, and I'm working on both PCs right now. I can copy and paste files, I can drag and drop, all that kind of fun stuff. So again, the important part is finding what's going to work for you, both from an infrastructure standpoint and for what you're comfortable with budget-wise. But I would go with, if I had a personal preference, TeamViewer is extremely easy, fairly decently affordable. AnyDesk, again, very, very easy, very affordable. And Splashtop, while I've only used it a few times, seems to be on par with the others. And for whatever reason, they have one of the lowest costs for getting the full version. Next, let's talk about collaboration tools. So we're talking about screen sharing, conferencing, video conferencing, group chatting, all the things that you would normally lean over across the hall or around the cubicle and say, hey, so-and-so, have you looked at that order? Did you get that report in? Gosh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Can you take a look? Obviously, the things we take for granted, being in an office environment or being in the same building even to walk down the hall, poses new challenges. So one of the things we can talk about are Zoom. Zoom is free to use for one-to-one ratios. You can get free meetings, I think, up to 50 people, as long as the meeting doesn't exceed 40 minutes. And that includes, video conferencing and other things. So it's what you'll see a lot of people have moved to. I've worked with some other vendors currently in this environment, and they've jumped on Zoom for their free connection software because they never had to use it before. Pretty straightforward. You set up a meeting room, you send out the invites, and then people join via the application they'll download. So again, the pricing for them is going to be something very similar to where it's, hey, it's free for, sorry, there you go, it's 100 participants. Unlimited numbers of one-to-ones, meaning I'm going to share my screen with Melinda, or Melinda's going to share her screen with me. And again, for the group meetings, it's 40 minutes limited. So there's video conferencing, there's web conferencing, and there's group collaboration, meaning multiple points can be shared at one point. And then you can see the monthly fees for these aren't very much at all. They're really relying on you to need them. And with the professional features, you get a bunch of new things like your personal meeting ID, like Zoom.Walpole, or whatever you want to call your meeting room. Melinda's free webinars. You can customize some of that stuff. So if you want to check it out, it's free. This is great for video conferencing, web chats. But with these type of things, not all of them will provide a conference call-in number. So you will need to use the microphone in your PC or plug in a microphone via the headset or a chat or a webcam. So even if you don't want to show video, your webcam will record your audio. And that's kind of how you're going to be communicating through a lot of these. So what we use at our office is Slack. And Slack is a wonderful, wonderful utility tool, and I'll actually pull up our Slack right now. And what this allows is group chats. This is instant messaging. This is instant messaging for specified groups. This is video conferencing, screen sharing, collaborations, those type of things. So here's Melinda and I's chat. So, going over some of the agendas we were making for other webinars. We can send and lock files. You'll notice that we can set up specific channels. So here's a channel with very specified groups of our team members talking about, a different integration we're developing. And then here's direct messaging. So, here's me bothering Melinda about other things. So, hey, did we check out these sick updates? We can do messages. I can certainly call her. So if I call Melinda, this will pull up a one-to-one web conference call, and then we can either enable video, screen sharing, things of that nature. And these are all restricted by security about who you've assigned as part of what group. So then you can also talk about threads. So specific content, so channels, threads, direct messages, screen sharing, video conferencing. Slack is not free. You do need to license it for business use and things like that. But on top of all this, there's also bots. So you can tell Slack and build a bot that says, hey, Slack, tell me from this database, how many orders we have that are, shipping to California. And it can actually return that kind of information to you with a little expertise. So it's very, very strong, very, very popular, and also has a mobile feature. So you can do Slack on your phone while you're traveling, while you're away from your desk, while you're walking the dog, whatever it needs to be in this time and where you need to be involved in touching a lot of different things. The other option you have besides Slack that I want to bring up is Discord. Discord is nearly identical to Slack, but it's free. And I'll actually pull up my Discord. Again, it was really popularized in the online presence and community for gaming originally. It has the same type of features. So we have individual members we can talk to. You can talk to people on your list. You can create groups based on certain topics. And even within those topics, we have specific channels, specific groups, so you can limit anything else was there. Within these type of functions, you can join web groups. So you can say, hey, I want to join this voice chat for this particular channel. And so what it does is it uses your computer audio, again, using a mic or webcam, and processes. So you can have multiple people all in the same group chat by just simply joining, and then you can hang up and do whatever have you. So I can join the voice chat. Now it's there, and now I can take that off. I can go live and pick what screens I want to share to the group, and then now I'm no longer in that voice chat. So it's very, very straightforward, very, very simplistic, and it's free. So you can set up an office group, you can set up a marketing group, you can set up a specific team project group, and you can function and communicate independently of everything else. And the same thing, you can share files, you can upload, screen share, video conference. So if you come to a chat and you want a web conference, start the video call. It's in there. You want to add people to the direct message in this group, start your voice chat over it. It's all free and popular. So the screen sharing and video conferences was originally, and I'm sure we'll go back to limiting to 10 users, but in the time of COVID, as we're calling it, they are actually increasing it free for 50 people. So I think for most of our clients, that would be a really substantial group and available option to you. And again, I can help if you've got personal questions on it, setting things up, things like that. We're happy to step in and kind of provide that expertise. But it's not a Walpole tool or anything. It's completely free and completely supported. The very cool thing about Discord is that they now are also offering bots. It's not developed from Slack itself or building your inside. There's a community group that's building them, and so you can look for certain things that want to call certain things. For instance, not to go too gamer geek, but one of the bots we have tells us about the process between a Reddit channel that tells free keys for certain enhancements or, the processing of, hey, great, here you can get this to get a blue shirt or whatever it is. And it constantly tracks and looks for those things via a web crawler. So to summarize again, I'll go back to the first slide. Really what it comes down to is remote access versus collaboration. Do you need to get to your PC? If so, TeamViewer, AnyDesk, Splashtop. If you're more technically advanced and you don't want to use any of those, you can set up Windows Remote Desktop. You just need a port open and the IP and a little bit of setup, which again, we can help with, but I'm sure your internal IT is already well ahead of all of us. Screen sharing and collaboration. So Zoom, Discord, Slack, these are all great options. Most of them are free and they offer a whole lot for the money, to be fair. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, let me get out of here. The other thing I wanted to talk about, let's see, make sure I'm catching all these questions here. Let's see. So Slack does have a free version. Melinda just slacked me to show me that. So Slack also has a little free one, so no worries there. You might not get all the bells and whistles, but especially now they're offering it. So Slack also has a free option. The other thing to talk about is remote printing. So I'll go ahead and jump to my tower again. So I'm going to pull up my remote desktop. I'm going to jump over there because that's where my Sage is installed. So again, I've saved my credentials, but you can leave it so you can't save credentials. Your administrators can set it up so you can't. And you have to key in each time just to make sure nobody actually gets on your PC and clicks it. So one of the things we have, let's see here, is when launching, when printing in Sage, if I'm working remotely, so here's our new 2020, and you'll see more of that on our webinar Thursday. When printing, your printer, especially for those that have an advanced or network version, you're not necessarily going to see your local printers. And for some people, that doesn't matter because you're using the paperless office functions. For others, it matters a great deal more because they really need to get those layouts or those documents or the register. They hand mark them, they use them as a different process. So when printing remotely, your best bet is going to be to use one of the PDF printers that's developed usually by Windows or Adobe and is available to both systems, so to speak. So say I need to do some sales order printing. So I'm going to pick a form. And I have my HP Envy, and then I've got Microsoft Print to PDF. So with Microsoft Print to PDF, I can print the PDF, so I'm going to just pick an order. and then I'll hit print. When hitting print, what's going to happen is it's going to print, and my paperless office setting will store this on the server if it's a register or something. But then it'll also prompt me where to save the file, and then I'll just simply say I want to save it to my desktop. We've had this with a few different clients that are very, very busy, and they're used to 3 and 4 monitors, and now they're working from 1 or 2 at home. And the only thing I've seen that sort of locks people up is after hitting print and Microsoft saying, well, where do you want to print this to? Is that so here, I'll tell you that one. This will dump a few of them. So it'll want to generate a file and ask me where to save it unless I've gone into the printer and set up some hard-coded things, but we won't do that there. So it's going to go sales order printing. And then it's going to go something like, hey, where do you want to, I'll say no to that. Where do you want to do this? Documents, desktop. So I'll say, hey, I want to save this on my desktop, and this is, Cole's, PDF of orders. So paperless office will take care of this. So it's going to go and send them to the printer. So now I have my PDF created. I'll say I'm taking sheets for this situation. But paperless office has done its thing. I haven't missed, setting my registers or setting my paperless office files in the server. I know 95% of our clients use paperless office. So the register will be on the server, back on the network environment, secure and safe. And then if I physically need this, I can come grab my PDF to the desktop and then go from there, grab it and bring it back to my local PC. So we've got those options. That's really the easiest way to get them back and forth. Now, if you want to, one more thing I'll show you is when you're using remote desktop, which is a bit different from TeamViewer or some of the other ones, you can pass your printers through. Again, this is all dependent on your network security and the setups by your IT groups. But if I need to print this from home, and again, I'll just go back to order printing, you'll notice I have redirected. What this means is obviously me being on the same network and wanting to have all my printers from all my PCs be the same, I can print to my local, which is my laptop, or I can print to the local on this tower. So redirected means it's from your remote desktop, and if it doesn't have one, it means it's local to the remote desktop. So you can print to your local printer and certain things, even across a long area of network, with that kind of a function through RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol. Last but not least, if you are going to be doing printing and you guys have an IT group that's been awesome enough to set up VPNs and things like that, for our advanced users, it's going to be, you might want to look at or contact us regarding setting up what's called your client-side ODBC connection, because that allows it to print and do all the data work without being in Sage. It kind of works on a different driver and a different service to speed it up. For standard users, unfortunately, there is no option for that. So you might want to focus on the Microsoft Print PDF version and then copy that over if you really need a physical copy on your sort of local home office or, shelter-in-place location. Okay, so we've talked about, I'll minimize that now. So we've talked, again, remote access versus remote collaboration, some of the little foibles about printing. We will go over a lot of the paperless office stuff on our next webinars. So that is, how do I email clients documents? How do I resend documents if I don't already have it? How do I set it up if we weren't doing it before? I know everybody appreciates not having to touch paper these days, not having to lick envelopes and stamps for many, many reasons, including COVID, obviously. So Sage can handle all that in whatever version you're currently on, unless you're on something truly archaic, which we don't really do have many of those clients. But the point is between these tools and what Sage already offers, and that includes electronic payments, both going in and coming out, there's a lot of ways we can keep sort of the world moving from our from our own laptops and things like that. Thank you very much. If you have questions on any of the things we've covered in these topics, again, I know it's brief and quick. We just want to make sure you're aware of these things, and we encourage you all to do your own diligence. And if you need input from us, please reach out.